Yes, well, it's fantastic to be here with you. Jim did give us next weekend as the date of your 10th birthday, but you can always have two birthdays, can't you? I like the Queen used to. So it's fantastic to be here with you. We had a great technique of bursting the balloon, didn't we? Which was great in that game. That was a lot of fun. It's such a pleasure to be here with you. I'm one of the vicars at Gas Street Church in Birmingham. We went there with Tim and Rachel to plant that 9 years ago, so our 10th birthday is next year. So we're delighted to be here with you. And we love Lincoln. Becky is from Lincolnshire, from Sleaford, the roundabout with the most fast food services in the nation. If anyone's been around that roundabout, now much improved with traffic lights and lanes, which I appreciate. Those of you know it, know it. In fact, I used to work at HMV on the high street here when we first got married for a little bit, yes, before it moved. We've struggled up steep hill. Has anyone else struggled up or down? I mean, either way is difficult. Let's face it, once you're older than 11. And we also run a ministry called Worship for Everyone, which is all about releasing the power of every age and every stage of life, being together like you do here to worship God together and enjoy His presence. And so we are so encouraged to be here with you, and we've been so encouraged from afar seeing how you press into that power of unity across the generations. In fact, here's a picture. If we got it on the screen, maybe. That's a picture I took of Lincoln. The next one. We did a sneak visit to you in 2018 at one of your Christmas services. So it's fantastic to be back here and see all that God has done in and through you. And so this morning, I want to encourage you and envision you for the next season. The theme we're looking at is about the passing on of faith, which was so brilliantly read, from one generation to another in Psalm 145. And this is how God's faithfulness plays out, how we continue to grow in faith, how we continue to share our faith. This passage is so crucial for us. Psalm 145, and it suggests that if we worship God, if we're true worshipers of God, we will experience so much of His goodness, like what we sung about earlier, that we won't help ourselves but tell others about His goodness. So I've called this talk, Share Your Story. Share Your Story. We recently were over in the States, in Nashville, and we were doing some songwriting for churches like this to worship well together. And when we're out there, we had this random meeting, though, of a famous person in a smoothie shop. And let me tell you, when I came back the other week to our colleagues at Gas Street, they wanted to know all about the church things we've been doing, the songs we've been writing. All I wanted to share was this exciting story of how I'd met a famous person by accident in a smoothie shop. When we have an exciting story, you can't help, can you, but share it. You can't help but tell other people. It's not a question of like, oh, I wonder if I should say this or not. No, you're saying it all over the place. That's what I found myself sharing recently this last week, of how I'd met someone famous out there. Back in our church at Gas Street, our staff meetings I run, and a lot of those meetings, we have a discipline of inviting storytelling. We say, has anyone got a short story, a testimony of what God has been doing in the last week in our church or through some of our ministries in our city? And we do that because it's so powerful. It's so important for building faith within our community, like yours, and also for giving us confidence to go outside of our community, isn't it? And tell others of the good news. And this habit of sharing our story is one of the ways we can fulfill this Bible verse from Psalm 145. It's one of the ways we can fulfill the mandate for one generation to commend your works to another. We can do it at dinner times with our friends or with our family, can't we? It's a great time for storytelling, isn't it, over food? It's something Jesus did a lot of as well. I imagine after the crossing of the Red Sea, the people of God, when they escaped from Egypt, can you imagine the sharing of the story that echoed on every generation from that point on. Can you imagine bedtimes? I like to imagine bedtime scenarios where one of the parents perhaps is saying, kids, you won't believe it. There was this moment when we'd escaped Egypt and the Egyptians ran out after us in their chariots, in their horses. We ran as fast as we could for days to escape them, but we had to come to a screeching halt because there was a big sea in front of us. We were trapped between the Red Sea and the soldiers. We thought we were goners for sure. We were terrified. We were screaming and crying, but something extraordinary happened. And now it's time for bedtime. I'll tell you more tomorrow. Can you imagine the excitement? The kids go, what? No, it's not bedtime yet. Tell me more. Tell me more of the great story of the goodness of God. The power and the excitement of sharing the story. It's the mandate on our lives. It's the mandate and the calling for each one of us and you as a church together. It's one of the greatest and most powerful ways to build your faith and to show Jesus to the world through your stories. But so often we can be a bit British, can't we? Like, oh, I'm not sure if I should share this story. They probably won't be that interested. Yeah, some other cultures, they don't have that hesitation, right? We need to be a bit more kingdom culture. No, just tell the story. Tell someone what God has been doing in your life. Celebrate key moments like this. This is the sharing of the story of St. Swithin's, not holding it, hiding your light, but letting it shine. But that hesitation we all can know, especially those of us who are introverts, who are a little bit shy in the room. I'm like that. Anyone else? You're not going to put up your hand because you're shy, but give me a wave. Yeah, we're in it together. Yeah, any introvert? Anyone under 11 who's a bit shy in the room? Like I used to be. Yeah. That's okay. So we can be a bit hesitant, and even those of us who are extrovert can have fears. And that's where another reading from Matthew 28 called the Great Commission, Jesus says two things to us. We haven't got time to read it, but in summary, he says, go and I am with you. If we could have that slide on. Go and I am with you. Now, what this means is when we go to tell our story, when you as a church shine your light in this city, your story, we have Jesus almost like behind us saying, go. He's like pushing us forward gently, like his momentum behind us, his power, his petrol or electricity in the car. Go. And then he says, I am with you. So he's not only behind us, pushing us forward, but he's in us, helping us to be bold by the power of his Spirit. Go, St. Swithin's, go, and I am with you, says Jesus. Share your story. And the beauty of this is everyone has a story to share. Everyone can do this together, and wherever you work, wherever you're at school, you can tell your story. Now, I was thinking, that's the message, but I was thinking, how can I get you to remember this? Because you hear a lot of messages, right? You hear a lot of words throughout your week. Well, it's your 10th birthday. I love birthdays. Anyone else got an October birthday? Anyone? That's quite a few. Yeah, happy birthday for October. Yeah, very excited about that one. Anyone in September? Anyone had one recently? Yeah? Okay, well, we have a lot, all our birthdays, there's 6 of us in the family. We have all of ours in spring. So it's a very expensive time, let me tell you that. Now, when it comes to birthdays, this is a subject that divides people. I'm going to show you a picture on the screen in a minute. This subject divides whether you'd like one of these or not. If we could have the picture up of gift cards. Who's a fan of a gift card? Anyone? Anyone welcome a gift card? Some hesitation in the room, yeah? Okay, thank you. Who prefers like a full-on wrapped present on their birthday? Yeah, the bishop, we'll make a note of that one. Yeah, so it's quite divisive. My sister-in-law, she's almost offended if she gets a gift card, we've realized. She's lovely and fantastic, but no, she wants a wrapped present. Whereas Becky's family, they like gift cards, yeah? I've got a random selection I found in my house. Many of you will have this random selection in your house if you go looking. What have I got? I've got a cinema one here. Cinema One. I saw the original Lord of the Rings trilogy in Lincoln Cinema. Very exciting. A Costa card. That goes not very far. A book token. Anyone love a book token? Yeah? I miss that massive Wardstones, but I like the little one. And then, a boots. Now, that's a bit classy. Who would like the boots? I mean, I'm not going to give it you, but who, in theory, yeah, boots, wide range of items. And then this is a fun pass. This is for Cannon Hill Park in Birmingham, where there's lots of fun fair rides. That would be, I think a lot of you would probably go for that. I'd go for that. So gift cards are really exciting. And if you go to the shops and spend them, if we went to the high street now and spent some gift cards, we'd come back and I'd have a lot of things to show you. Maybe a new jumper, maybe a Lego set, maybe a few books, maybe some skincare regime from Boots for myself. But they're only really exciting when you spend them and you come back and you show what you spent them on. And just like these gift cards are meant to be spent, a story is meant to be shared. So rather than perhaps the title of this talk being Share Your Story, it should perhaps say Spend Your Story. Spend your story. Now, the problem with gift cards, they can get stored away, can't they? In drawers, bags. They can disappear. Did you know in the UK, every year, £250 million is lost from stored away gift cards. So, I mean, what you are going to remember when you get home is to look for them in your house, aren't you? Look for them and remember, spend your story, right? £250 million, gift cards that are stored, held onto, like stories stuffed away. They don't do anything. They're just kept. They're lost. Nothing to show from what we spend them on. When you tell a story, when you spend a gift card, it makes it real in the world. It has something, it generates another story to tell. That's the beauty of this. There's one final problem with gift cards. They expire. They expire. If we don't pass on our stories, how do we fulfill this verse from one generation to the next? It seems it's been an inbuilt thing of the wisdom of God, the genius of God, that telling our story would be a way for faith to continue, for God's goodness to abound from generation to generation, which is why new churches like yourselves are so key as one part of that passing on, so that our story of God's goodness never expires. That we as older Christians need to hear the stories from younger people so that our faith doesn't slowly expire like a gift card. Becky's going to quickly come up and tell us a quick story of how one little boy spent his story well.
Good morning, everybody. Well, for several years, I worked in a school in Birmingham and was a school chaplain. So serving children, taking their collective worship, doing some pastoral work. And within the first term that I arrived at the school, one of the teachers in year 2 at the time said to me, there's a little boy in my class and I think he'd really like to talk to you because he's got something he'd really like you to do for him. And his name's William. So lunchtime came and I went to her classroom. I found William and I said, William, I hear your teacher wanted, from your teacher you wanted to have a word with me. And William said, yes, Mrs. Drake, I want to start a Bible study group and I want to do it with you. And I said, oh, okay, that's lovely. Now, he was either 6 or 7 years old at the time. And I said, William, why do you want to start a Bible study club? And he said, because I want to tell all my friends to come and then maybe they will find out who Jesus is. I said, oh, that's amazing, William. Well, let's do it. So we made this plan that every Tuesday at lunchtime from then on, he was going to come to my little room, which was called the Lighthouse, a lovely little pastoral room, and we were going to read a Bible story together, and we'd invite his friends. And he said, but Mrs. Drake, will you go around all the year 2 classrooms and tell them? So I said, okay, I will. Now, in Birmingham, you've got to realize the context is we were a massively multi-faith school. Majority Muslim, but every faith you can imagine, and no faith, and a few Christians. But nevertheless, I did what William said. I went around every classroom, and I said to the children, I'm going to be doing a little Bible study every Tuesday, and if you want to give up your playtime, you can come along and read the Bible with us. And that week, I saw William's mum on one of the school runs, and she said, oh, Mrs. Drake, thank you so much for doing this for William. And I said to William's mum, look, I think we just need to manage William's expectations. It will be wonderful, of course, if one or two children come along and we have a lovely little time. But please tell William, even if it's only him and me, God will be so pleased. And it's fine, and we'll read the Bible together. And she said, yes, 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 I will. Well, the first Tuesday came, and we'd made a plan that anyone who wanted to join the Bible reading club would meet me after lunch on the infant playground. So I went and I stood in this spot, and William came along. And one by one, more children began to join William. And suddenly, we had such a long queue that I had to pull in teaching assistants to help walk the children over to the lighthouse where I work, which was over the other side. Now, as we got in, I said, we better count them in because we need to know how many are here. And as I began to count, I got to 32 children. We sat in this little room and we read the story together of the prodigal son and God's love, and they began to write prayers, which we pinned up on my wall. These were children from every faith and no faith. Now, very quickly, I saw William's mum after that week, and she said, oh, thank you so much, Mrs. Drake. William was so excited. And I said, I just think we need to manage William's expectations. Because, of course, first time, 32 children may well come, and it was lovely, and that was great. But now they know what it is. She of little faith. They might not come back again. I'd hate William to feel discouraged. So she said, yes, I will talk to William. Well, the second week came around, Tuesday lunchtime, and I went to my spot again to wait, thinking, well, Lord, please, please, it would be really nice if just a few came, just to encourage William even. This time, 43 children arrived for our Tuesday Bible study. And you know, that day in my room, it was so jam-packed. I had to open the door, which is opposite the staff room. I just want you to know we were very safe. There were teachers there. The windows were filling with condensation. It was so hot in there. I'm opening the windows, and we read together Psalm 139, which is all about being fearfully and wonderfully made. We talked about the unique things about us. And when I looked at William's face, he was shell-shocked. He sat in the corner. He couldn't believe what he had done. It was amazing. We continued to meet the rest of the term.
Amazing story. Amazing story. So as I end, you have each been given, in a sense, a gift card. The story of Jesus and you, of what Jesus means to you. And I want to encourage you as an individual, as a person, and encourage you as a church to spend your story. Spend your story. And what is so powerful, because when those of us who are younger spend our story like William, we don't overthink it. We don't try and work out, well, what will this lead to? What will the reaction be? What will happen? No, this story Becky shared is a story of just childlike faith. I'm just going to spend my story today. I'm going to tell my friend. I'm going to tell my colleague. I'm going to shine Jesus today, and I'm not going to overthink it. I'm going to trust in the goodness of God to do far more than I could imagine, far more better than I could fear, perhaps. God is good, and he wants us to spend our stories well. He says, go, I am with you. So we stand up tall. We have confidence, not in ourselves, but in him, that he will do what? I mean, can you imagine 10 more years from now? This is going to be far too small. You know, you've made it this far. But can you imagine what else God is going to do if you all, we together, and you're not on your own, all of us together, spend our story well. Amen.